everyone, it's Becky from Book Obsessed Becky. I was hopping on here to do a quick wrap up of two books that I've read this month. One is Happy Place by Emily Henry and the other is Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. So T. Kingfisher is a new author to me, and Emily Henry I've read, I don't know, I think this is the fourth book I've read by her. I don't have the books here with me because I got them out on my Kindle from the library and I had to return them. But I do have my notebook for like my thoughts on the books. So, okay, where to start? Nettle and Bone. Basically, at its simplest form, it is a story about a princess who is rescuing her sister and has to kill the prince in order to do so. That's at its basic form. Like I said, I've never read anything by this author, but I very much enjoyed the book. So, I'm terrible with names, but her name, I think, was Princess Mara. She is the youngest daughter of this, like, king and queen. The oldest daughter had been shipped off to marry this prince to keep the peace between the kingdoms, pretty much, and she had an accident and she died. So then the middle daughter was shipped off to the same prince, again, in hopes to keep the peace between the kingdoms. And she's alive, and she becomes pregnant and loses babies, and becomes pregnant and loses babies. But what Mara soon discovers at one of the births of her sister's children is that her husband, the prince, is not being kind to her sister. He is abusive, and the princess, the one that's having the baby, she warns Mara, no matter what happens to her, do not marry this man. Run away. Which got Mara thinking that, you know, something is kind of fishy. She never believed that her oldest sister had an accident when she died. She believed there was something more suspicious to it. And when her middle sister had told her not to marry this man, it really, really got her questioning what happened to her first sister and got her fearing for her middle sister. So Mara decides to take it upon herself to kill the prince. But in order to do this, she meets with a dust wife, or a grave witch, and is assigned 3 tasks. And the tasks that she has to complete are to, let me see, make a cloak from nettle, I believe is what it was, create a dog made of bones, and the other one was like drink moonlight or something like that. Sorry if you hear the woodpecker in the background. He's kind of going crazy. The feeder's behind the camera. But yeah, so she takes on these tests. So when you first open up the book and you start reading, the first chapter is of Mara in this, like, almost like a bone type graveyard. And I was so confused because I've never read anything by this author, so I didn't know what to expect. But she was working on one of the tasks that was assigned to her. So once she gets these tasks done, she sets off on this quest. And along with her on the quest is the grave witch, or the dust wife, the chicken that the dust wife can't leave behind because it's got a demon in it, so she can't expect anybody to take care of it. And they're going along, and they come across a goblin market where they end up with another person that they pick up. I think his name is like Fenris. I think that's how you say his name. He is like, I don't want to say like a dishonored soldier or something, but he can't go back to his kingdom for things that he had done. So he's in this goblet market as a slave, and Mara kind of wins him over or trades something in hopes of getting him. So she picks him up along the way, and then they come across a fairy godmother, which happens to also be her fairy godmother, which she remembered, but she didn't know that she might actually be related. So basically, these characters go on this quest to try to kill the prince. And I loved it. I loved getting to know the characters. I loved the adventures that they took, the things that happened to them along the way. I was very happy with the way that the book ended, and there may be a curse along the way, or a couple of curses along the way. So yeah, it was definitely a fun read, and it won't be my last T. Kingfisher book. I very much enjoyed it. Okay, for the next book, Happy Place by Emily Henry. I wasn't sure about buying this one. I've bought some of her other ones, but I didn't know how I'd feel about this book. So I've read Beach Read. That was my first Emily Henry book that I ever read. The next one that I read was The People We Meet on Vacation. And then the third one, which I thought was good, the third one, Book Lovers, I absolutely loved. So I loved Beach Read and I loved Book Lovers. And then, of course, Happy Place comes out, and I was like, well, I'm not really sure if I'm going to love it as much, because I didn't love The People We Meet on Vacation as much as the other two. So I thought, well, I'll just get it out from the library, and I live in the middle of nowhere, so trying to get to a bookstore or whatever to grab the book is like 2-hour trip there, 2-hour trip home. So I got out a digital copy from my library, and this book is about this couple. I think her name was Harriet and his name is Wynn, and they're together for years. They're engaged, they're not married, they have a best friend group that they go on vacation with every year. They go to Maine to this summer house where they spend a week together, all of them, just chilling and doing what they do. They've been doing it since college, and now they're in their 30s. And the summer is approaching for them, and the big trip to Maine is coming up, except the problem is Harriet and Wynn had broke up 5 months before summertime, before this trip was supposed to be happening, and they never told anybody, not even their besties. So they end up going on this trip. Harriet goes on this trip, and Wynn happens to be there as well, and she didn't know he was going to be there. So they have to make a quick decision on if they're going to continue like faking their relationship, or if they're just going to come clean. Well, they decide they're going to fake their relationship. So it's like a fake dating trope, second chance romance kind of a deal, because they don't want to mess up their friend's vacation, because this is the last vacation they'll get to take in this home in Maine, because the home is getting sold. So through the whole book, you're bouncing between timelines of present, when they're all at this home, and then past, where we're trying to figure out what happened between Wynn and Harriet. Like, why did they break up? And Harriet is a student. She wants to become a brain surgeon, so she's through college, but she's doing like her residencies and things like that. And when he does like odds and end type jobs, he doesn't have a job like using his diploma or anything like that. He is very much into woodworking and that sort of thing. So we're following along on their journeys, you know, past and present. And I mean, it's good. I liked it, but it wasn't my favorite. For most of the book, Harriet doesn't even know what she wants, like, in life. She doesn't know if she really wants to be a brain surgeon. She doesn't really know what she likes, but she's scared to death of disappointing her parents. So she continues on this path that she thinks her parents would be pleased about, brain surgery. Because her sister kind of, in her parents' eyes, have kind of screwed up. And she kind of screwed up, and she didn't go to college and live up to her potential or whatever. She's a hairdresser or something. So yeah, the friends get together, they're in Maine, and you can tell that things aren't as they always were. Not just because of Harriet and Wynn, but I mean, they're not college students anymore. They're not in their late teens, early 20s. They're in their 30s, and people's lives change dramatically from, you know, late teens to early 30s. And they're just trying to hold this group together and doing different things in hopes of keeping their friendship like it always has been, rather than it growing and evolving. so there's a lot of tension build up between Harriet and Win, like, because Harriet doesn't understand why they're not together anymore, and she is trying to bury her feelings for Win, and he isn't acting like he really cares one way or another. But there's like sexual tension that's building and things like that. So basically, you know, you're following along, you're watching this building up happening, and things come to a head, and things aren't as they appear, and it's kind of like a train wreck that you want to look away from but you just can't. It's kind of like that. And I mean, again, I said it before, I liked it. It's not my favorite. I thought the book was just too long. It just seemed like it dragged out forever. And maybe it's because it was a library book and I was trying to read it and get it done quickly so I can get it back because I know it's a new release and people want it and that sort of thing. But I didn't love it as much as the other ones. But if you're looking for a beach read and you're looking for a second chance romance and you're looking for the fake dating trope and like friendships and drinking and hanging out, and there's a little bit of stuff in there that, you know, is a little heavier, like the death of a parent and an unhappy marriage and that sort of thing, then maybe pick this one up. But as for me, I read it once. I'm not going to read it again. So yeah, that's my quick wrap up. I am hoping to come to you with another wrap up soon on the Bakeshop mystery books by Ellie Alexander. I've read the first 2, so I'm going to wrap those up. And have you read either one of these books? Did you enjoy them? If you're a T. Kingfisher fan, what should I read next by this author? Because I really enjoyed Nettle and Bone. And yeah, I hope everybody's having a great June, and I will talk to you all real soon.